You know, in the world of hip-hop, nothing gets the blood pumping quite like a big-time rivalry. And right now, the entire scene is locked on a major clash between three of the biggest names in the game. But what's really wild is what grew out of that conflict, something totally unexpected. A competition designed not to tear people down, but to actually build them up.
Okay, so let's set the stage. It all kicks off back in October 2023. J. Cole drops this track, First Person Shooter, and he puts this line out there. He's basically wading right into the fan debates, you know? The ones that have been going on for years. Who's the GOAT? Is it Kendrick, a.k.a. K-Dot? Is it Drake, whose first name is Aubrey? Or is it Cole himself? He calls them the Big Three, like they're in a whole other league, you know, like in basketball.
Well, it turns out Kendrick Lamar was not on board with that idea. Not at all. 5 months later, he hops on the track like that and just drops this absolute bombshell. He's not just politely disagreeing with the Big Three idea, he completely blows it up and says, nah, it's just Big Me. This wasn't some subtle dig. This was a direct shot, and it officially lit the fuse on one of the biggest rap beefs we've seen in a long, long time.
So the beef gets going, right? Diss tracks start flying. But all that destructive energy makes you wonder about something. What if you could take that same passion, that same competitive fire, that need to be the absolute best, and just flip it? What if the goal wasn't about proving you're better than everybody else, but about being the best for somebody else?
And that's exactly what we're going to break down here. We'll start with the rivalry that kicked this all off, and then we'll get into this bless-off tournament, this whole idea of flipping the script. We're going to look at its really unique rules, the playbook they use to compete, and how you even judge something like this. So yeah, let's just do a quick recap of the beef that sparked this whole thing.
I mean, look at this timeline. It shows you just how fast this whole thing caught fire. In October, it's just a concept on a J. Cole song. But by the spring, it's a full-blown public battle. Kendrick's verse was definitely the match, and J. Cole's response track, 7-Minute Drill, was like pouring gasoline all over it. Suddenly, it wasn't just a fan debate anymore. It was a head-to-head war.
But here's where it gets really interesting. All of that destructive energy actually inspired a completely different kind of contest, one that takes that exact same intensity and just points it in a totally different direction. And this really breaks it down perfectly. A rap beef? The goal is to tear down your opponent. The fuel is ego. The weapon is a diss track. The bless-off just flips every single one of those things on its head. The goal is to build up. The fuel is humility. And the weapons? They get replaced by what the training calls prophetic words. Words of encouragement, of hope.
Okay, but to have a competition like this, you obviously need some very clear rules. You can't just flip the goal. You got to build a whole new framework for safety and encouragement. You basically have to create the anti-beef.
And here they are, the 4 big rules. First up, no ghostwriters, which is all about being honest with what you already know. Second, you have to ask permission. Third, every single word has to be for edification, which just means to strengthen and encourage. And finally, you have what's called the Master Chef Clause, which is a really cool way of thinking about how you deliver your message.
So this no ghostwriters rule is a direct nod to the rap world, right? Where artists get accused of not writing their own stuff. But here, it's all about integrity. It means if you know something about someone just from your everyday life, you have to say so. That way, nobody confuses it with some kind of special divine insight. It keeps everything honest.
And this just shows you the heart of it all. I mean, look at this. It's a note from the actual training guide, and it says, ask if you can share. Think about that. In a rap beef, the whole point is the element of surprise, the sneak attack. Here, respect and consent are literally the first step. It just completely changes the dynamic from aggression to invitation.
This right here is the Master Chef Clause, and I think this analogy is awesome. The idea is that you, the participant, you aren't the one cooking up the message. You're just the server. Your only job is to deliver the plate exactly how the chef made it. No adding your own ingredients, no changing things up. It really takes the pressure off and makes it all about being a faithful messenger.
Okay, so if you're the server, how do you actually receive and deliver the meal? Well, that's where a clear method comes in, a simple little playbook they call the RIA framework.
And here it is. The entire process gets broken down into these 3 super clear, manageable steps. This isn't about just winging it and saying whatever pops into your head. It's a really disciplined way to do things that keeps it safe for everyone involved.
So let's break that down. R is for revelation. This is just the raw data, maybe a picture that pops into your mind, a word, a feeling. I is for interpretation. This is where you ask, okay, what does that revelation actually mean?
And then A is for application. What should the person do with this information? But, and this is a big but, there's a really important boundary right here. And that is probably the most critical rule in the whole RIA framework. The person giving the word, they're responsible for revelation and interpretation. But the application, the what to do now, that belongs only to the person on the receiving end. The training puts it perfectly, you deliver the mail, you don't open it. It totally prevents manipulation and just respects that person's freedom to choose. So, how in the world do you win a competition that's not about tearing someone down? Well, the winner isn't judged on their performance, but on the outcome, on what the training calls the fruit of the words they share. So the judges basically have a checklist. Does the message line up with the Bible? Does it actually sound like God, reflecting his character of love? And then you get these two really practical tests. Does it bring peace, or does it create this weird, unhealthy pressure? And finally, does it lead to good things like hope and growth, or to bad things like fear? And this right here really gets to the heart of that test. You can see it in the training manual, peace or ungodly pressure. The whole idea is that a real word from God is an invitation. Sure, it might challenge you, but it's never going to crush you with anxiety or use fear to force you to do something. This slide breaks that down even more, drawing this super sharp line between healthy conviction and harmful condemnation. Conviction comes from a place of love, and its goal is to heal you by destroying a problem. Condemnation, on the other hand, comes from fear, and it just produces shame because it's trying to destroy a person. So judging the fruit is all about making sure the words are always on the side of healing and love. And that really brings us full circle. The big three rap beef gave us some incredible bars born out of pure conflict. But this bless-off that it inspired, it gives us a pretty fascinating alternative. And it leaves us with this question to chew on. What if we took all that competitive energy in our own lives, at work, in our communities, maybe even in our own families, and just reimagined it? Not as a fight to see who could be number one, but as a contest to see who could be the best at building others up.